difference between the delusion of God in human psychology versus the reality of God. Mm-hmm. You can seek after false ideas in real life experience, and especially with an omnipotent being, you can believe that you see signs from this being pointing you in that direction if you want to believe that. It's like you read the Bible one day and see I think this was one of the well, whatever. But you read the Bible and it somehow resonates with you, and this shaft of light erupts from the heavens, and you think, that must be God doing that. So you keep on that trail, and you see what I'm saying? You kind of stack the evidence in God's favor if you want to believe in that. And you subconsciously ignore the stuff that you don't agree with. Happens in politics all the time. Like, you'll ignore one poll and say, I'm winning in this one, if it suits your beliefs, if it suits your interests. So what is the difference there? How is God different than your belief in him?
I'm standing here saying knowledge is very important. Why? Because knowledge protects you from being hurt by reality. If you grasp knowledge, knowledge puts you in touch with that which is real. You are naive if you think that knowledge is just going to fall into your lap. The reason you are a student here is because you realize that without studying, without pursuing truth, it's not just going to fall into your lap. You have to go after it. I'm saying the same thing is true with knowledge of God. If you think that knowledge of God is just going to fall into your lap, which is exactly what a lot of students say to me, you are intellectually naive. You would never pursue any course of study with that attitude. And so all I'm asking is, pursue knowledge of God. I am not saying stack the deck. I'm saying pursue knowledge in mathematics, in science, in mechanics, as a surgeon, a brain surgeon, pursue knowledge. Because guess what? If you don't have knowledge, I'm not going to trust you. Other people aren't going to trust you. I only trust mechanics who have the knowledge of how to repair a car. And I'm not going to trust a surgeon who just says willy-nilly, fall into my lap. Sure, I'll operate on your brain, Cliff. No. They have to pursue knowledge of my brain, the human brain, before I'm going to trust them to open up my skull and operate. And they better not go willy-nilly through my brain. Well, the same thing is true with God, which means the attitude. Prove yourself to me. That's pathetic. Or this one. God, here's how I can believe in you. If you do this, this, and this. That's intellectual dishonesty. That is a decision of the will. Bug off, God. So all I've meant is, in the same way that you pursue knowledge in mathematics, in science, the same way you pursue knowledge in history and psychology, the same way you pursue knowledge in building a friendship with a roommate, similarly, pursue the knowledge of God. That's what Jesus meant when he said, ask and it shall be given you, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open. What he's saying is, if you think that God's going to just drop into your lap, you're sadly mistaken. God is not going to violate your will. And if you don't want to know God, he's not going to force himself upon you. But if you want to know him and are open and willing, you'll find him. In other words, the only reason a person doesn't find God is for the same reason a criminal doesn't find the police. He's running away. And if you run away, you're right. You'll never find God. That's all I'm saying.
But how do you know the signs that you find are actually a product of God versus your desire to know God, desire to believe in God? How do you know the difference there? Like, what your brain is putting together psychologically, like piecing puzzle pieces together, how do you know that's reality versus delusion?
The same way you get to know what the good life is. You can believe the American advertising industry, which says the good life is hair a certain way, biceps a certain size, clothing a certain way, type of glasses a certain style, certain vacations, certain hookups with certain women. That's the good life. Or you can begin to realize, you know something? When I read obituaries, no obituary says, well, this guy had this kind of hairstyle, and this dead person really hooked up with a lot of gorgeous women. No. The obituaries talk about his character. And if he was a good person, they talk about all the good things he did. If he was a jerk, they either don't talk about it or they reveal it. So, you can't prove to me what is good. You got to figure it out. And I'm sitting here saying, God has given you a rational mind, He's given you a conscience, He's given you experience. Use your mind, your conscience, and your experience to seek to understand what is good, what the good life really is, and also if God exists, if He's good or not.
Well, what is the difference between finding God in a practical, like, pursuit of truth, and finding God versus finding delusion? What is the real evidence for that?
You'll have to allow God to show you. If God exists, He'll show you. But you better be humble and you better be open to Him. And the very fact that you talked about Pythagoras making mistakes means that you know what truth is. When you say Pythagoras made a mistake, what you're saying is, I know what truth is, and although I respect much of Pythagoras' thinking, at some points he was mistaken. He was out of touch with reality. So that's how you pursue knowledge, isn't it? You study, you're open, at times you grab hold of truth and you're right, at other times you make mistakes and believe lies. So you better consistently be asking yourself, does the evidence point to this being true? Does my belief square with my experience of reality? Does my belief square with my sense perception, my moral experience, my worldview, how I answer the question, what is real? What is the good life? Who is a good person? How do I become a good person? Where do I come from? Why am I here? How should I live my life ethically? What about the hereafter? Those are your worldview questions. So keep on working hard and pursuing truth. Open, God, reveal yourself as you choose.
So, God revealing Himself to people is a subjective experience for the person, like like they're applying it logically, but they are going after it, and an answer for someone could be entirely different than an answer for another person. It just doesn't seem very scientific to me.
You're right. And guess what? The good life is totally unscientific. And being a good person is totally unscientific. And when you read the obituaries of dead people, usually what is being pointed out about them is they were a good guy, a good woman. Very unscientific. So what you've got to acknowledge is science is a wonderful branch of knowledge, but it's a very narrow branch. And I can promise you, the majority of life is not scientific equations or mathematical equations. The majority of life is how you treat people and how you're treated. And when you, I love going and speaking at MIT and eating in the student cafeteria. You know, I'm in awe of their technical expertise at MIT. But you know what they talk about over the dinner table? Not some highfalutin scientific equation. They talk about what a jerk that guy is or what a great person that guy is. They talk about their friends. They don't sit there as they're eating their dinner talking about some highfalutin scientific equation. Sir, the majority of life is not science. The majority of life is relationships with people. And wow, that guy's really a great friend of mine. That other guy, he just betrayed me. Wow, I can hardly wait to go out on that date. Wow, I can hardly wait to go home and see my family. Wow, I don't have a family to go home to. I'm really lonely. See, that's the majority of life. The majority of life is not a scientific equation. Now, it's wonderful that you're at a fine university studying science. That's great. But notice, although you have a department of chemistry and physics and history and drama, you do not have a department of living the good life. So you're going to have to think real hard and work through, what does it mean to be a good person? What does it mean to live a good life? And you better use your mind and think deeply and carefully and not just throw up your hands and say, it's all subjective, it's all relative. No, it's not all relative. Nazism is not the same as the Golden Rule. And if you don't learn to tell the difference between Nazism and the Golden Rule, you are morally an ignoramus. Don't go that route. Very unwise route. Very empty life. You better learn to tell the difference between what the KKK is saying and what Dr. Martin Luther King said. You better learn to tell the difference. And you better learn that one is good and the other is evil. And guess what? You're not going to have a department of good living here. You're going to have to do it on your own. You're going to have to search for God on your own. So go to it. Thanks for raising it.